The Indian government has announced the implementation of the Citizenship Amendment Act, also known as CAA.
Injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. CAA has finally done justice to the persecuted minorities who got stuck on the wrong side after a blood-soaked partition. The current government has notified the CAA and has finally put a stop to the decades of delay that was a scar on the idea of Bharat. To those who say that the CAA is not consistent with Indianness may be reminded that the promise was made by Gandhi Ji himself. The Congress Working Committee passed a resolution on November 25, 1947 for the same. Lal Bahadur Shastri also supported the same idea in his speech to the Parliament on 3rd April 1964. The same speech was quoted by PM Modi as well.
जहां तक ईस्ट पाकिस्तान का ताल्लुक है, उसका यह फैसला मालूम होता है कि वहां से नॉन मुस्लिम जितने हैं सब निकाल दिए जाएं। वह एक इस्लामिक स्टेट है। एक इस्लामिक स्टेट के नाते वह यह सोचता है कि यहां इस्लाम को मानने वाले ही रह सकते हैं और गैर इस्लामी लोग नहीं रह सकते। लिहाजा हिंदू निकाले जा रहे हैं, ईसाई निकाले जा रहे हैं। मैं समझता हूं कि करीब 37,000 से ऊपर क्रिश्चियंस आज वहां से हिंदुस्तान में आ गए हैं। बुद्धिस्ट भी वहां से निकाले जा रहे हैं। ये भी किसी जनसंघ का, आप भाजपा के नेता का वाक्य नहीं है। और सदन को मैं बताना चाहूंगा, ये शब्द उस महापुरुष के हैं जो देश के प्रिय प्रधानमंत्रियों में से एक रहे हैं, वो श्रद्धेय लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी के वाक्य।
But the most interesting piece of history is the Nehru-Liaquat Agreement, signed between the two governments of India and Pakistan. The pact clearly states that two nations will provide complete freedom and equality to their respective minorities. That is Muslim in India and Hindus in Pakistan. In India, the minorities enjoyed all rights and equal opportunities for growth. But in Pakistan, since they are infamous for not keeping their word, the minorities were brutally persecuted and led to ruin. Ram Manohar Lohia also made a speech where he insisted that we must care about what our fellow Hindus were facing on the other side.
This house is of the opinion that in view of the insecurity of the life, property and honor of the minority communities living in the eastern wing of Pakistan and general denial of all human rights to them in that part of Pakistan, the government of India should, in addition to relaxing restrictions in migration of people belonging to the minority communities from East Pakistan to Indian Union, also consider steps for enlisting the world opinion. ये भी किसी जनसंघ भाजपा वाले का नहीं है, ये श्रीमान राम मनोहर लोहिया जी की बात है.
As for the legality and constitutionality of the CAA, it is alleged that using the names of religions has made the law exclusive and thus discriminatory. But if a law satisfies the criteria of classification, then it does not violate the constitution. The CAA is not only for Hindus, but for persecuted religious minorities. Religiously persecuted minorities are a class of people and thus satisfy the criteria of reasonable classification. The classification must be founded on an intangible differentia which distinguishes persons or things that are grouped together from others left out of the group. And there must be a clear relation of the distinction to the objective that the law wants to achieve. And the CAA clearly wants to keep the promise that was made at the time of independence towards the minority on the other side. To understand better, ethnicity and religions are two different categories. This bill caters to those Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains, Parsis and Christians who are fleeing religious persecutions from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, which are Muslim majority. Let us leave all the jargons aside for once and look at the humanitarian crisis that has been unfolding right from the day of partition. The minority, that is the non-Muslim population, had witnessed a consistent decline. To quote some figures put out by former member of Pakistan Parliament, the non-Muslim population that was 23% in 1947 has reached a meager 3% by 2013. In 2016, Professor Abdul Barkat of Dhaka told the Dhaka Tribune that 11.3 million Hindus left Bangladesh because of persecution and discrimination from 1964 to 2013. This averages out to 632 Hindus leaving this country every day. He also stated that within 30 years, there would be no Hindus left in Bangladesh. How did this situation come about? There have been organized and well-designed attacks on Buddhists, Sikhs, Parsis, Christians, Hindus in these three countries. India kept its promise of ensuring equality and freedom to these minorities, but on the other side of the border, the situation has been barbaric and inhumane. Temples and gurdwaras are constantly attacked, holy books like Gita and Guru Granth Sahib are publicly burnt, women are kidnapped, raped and then forcibly married to Muslim men in order to be converted to Islam. The Hindus have been facing forced conversions by hook and crook. They are discriminated against and bullied with only two options left to them. They can either leave or they can convert. And all this is made possible by the state machinery also being a silent observer and sly participant that denies even the basic human rights to Hindus and other minorities. Answering the doubts of those who think that Muslim refugees will be denied citizenship, this is a lie. CAA is not the only way, but one of the ways to obtain citizenship. And during the tenure of the Modi government itself, 600 such Muslims from neighbouring countries have been naturalized. There are also the doubts about why the CAA is not being extended to immigrants from all the nations. Because all immigrants are not facing a question of life and death. A religiously persecuted person and someone looking for better economic opportunity are two different kinds of refugees and have thus to be treated differently. The opposition seems to have completely lost the plot as it has come down to making frivolous charges like questioning the timing of the notification. If a law was passed 4 years back, the notification is only late and not early. Had the notification not come at all, the opposition might as well have asked as to why it's not there yet. So the opposition has finally become what its name is, opposing anything without even making sense. In fact, the CAA should have arrived long back, and it is only now that the age-old promise that we had made has finally been kept.